Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I thank the government of Uzbekistan for the opportunity to speak at this important event. Achieving the Sustainable Development Agenda requires intergovernmental and multi-stakeholder partnerships between national governments, the private sector, and the people. Such inclusive partnerships, built upon principles, values, and shared goals that place people and the planet at the center, are needed at the global, regional, national, and local level. The global landscape is marked by pervasive inequities. These inequities have grown since the adoption of the SDGs in 2015 and have been further exacerbated by the pandemic. Even more concerning is the fact that multilateral cooperation, which is crucial to implementing international agreements, including the Paris Accords, has been eroded. We must ensure adequate global action to contain and defeat the COVID virus, recover from the impact of the pandemic, and revive the implementation of the 2030 Agenda, the Sustainable Development Goals, and the global climate and environmental goals. Mobilizing the participation and support of parliaments for the Global Development Agenda is urgent. I believe that there are 4 areas on which immediate attention is required. First, health and vaccine inequity threatens global recovery. The parliaments of the developed countries can ensure that the COVID-19 vaccine is made available to everyone, everywhere, as soon as possible. This will require scaling up production, supply, distribution, and above all, emergency mass vaccination programs in every country and community. A waiver of intellectual property rights on the vaccines must be agreed immediately to enable broader production of the vaccine in developing countries. We must also close the funding gap of roughly $18 billion for the ACT Accelerator, including the COVAX facility. Secondly, parliaments should support adequate financing for sustainable development. The latest outcome of the Financing for Development Forum indicates that broad consensus on multiple actions is needed. Debt suspension and restructuring, the creation of $650 billion in new SDRs, and the reallocation of unused SDRs to developing countries, longer and larger concessional financing, including through the advanced and sustained IDA, the fulfillment of the 0.7% of GDP target for official development assistance, fulfillment of the $100 billion pledged by the developed countries in annual climate finance, an end to illicit financial flows from developing countries, and the immediate and unconditional return of their stolen assets. Third, parliaments should support massive investments in sustainable infrastructure. This will impact 92% of the SDGs. It is indispensable to achieve net zero emissions by 2050. The investment gap in sustainable infrastructure is growing, unfortunately. Investment in sustainable infrastructure in developing countries declined last year by over $50 billion. Both public and especially private sector investments in sustainable infrastructure, such as energy, transportation, housing, agriculture, ICT, and other sectors, must be scaled up. development cooperation partners should commit to strengthening the capacities of developing countries to prepare a pipeline of investable projects in sustainable infrastructure. Finally, parliaments must support developing countries to build the capacity to transition into the new world economy, to enter the new global supply chains, to create new and decent jobs, and to expand production and productivity. This requires rapid progress in digitalization and investing in digital infrastructure and skills. It implies greater access to advanced technologies and research and development, focused on realizing the Sustainable Development Goals and the climate goals. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, we hope that inter-parliamentary cooperation will lead to generating momentum towards achieving the SDGs and overcoming the challenges posed by the COVID crisis. I thank you very much.